Hello, City of Lilburn, and welcome to the first ever episode of The Burn podcast. I'm Jonathan Hilliard from Connects Media here in Old Town, and I'm joined by my friend and City Hall employee, Brian Burchick. And Brian, you've got a mouthful of a title. Because you've got a mouthful of a job, if we're being honest. So I would love for you to introduce yourself, tell us what your role at the city is, and just jump into a little bit of what we're here for, what this podcast, the purpose of it is.
That's great. Well, my name is Brian Burchick. I work for the City of Lilburn. My title is kind of a mouthful. It's Community Development Administrator and Public Information Officer.
Yeah.
So,
at home, we call you Old Town Guy.
The Old Town Guy. Yeah, sure. Why not? I'm excited for this, the start of this, The Burn podcast.
Yeah.
And, when you ask kind of what it's about, I think it's a way for us on a monthly basis to share as much good information as we possibly can with the residents of Lilburn. And every month we will be trying to collect as much good information, as much kind of updates on what's going on in the city, to be able to share, I guess, both sort of podcast audio, but also a video for people to stay up to date.
Yeah, and we hope to continue to add to it as we go along and get some input from you guys in the community and do a couple fun things as well. And hopefully this can be a great update for everybody monthly about what's going on, not only in Old Town, but in all of Lilburn. So looking forward to coming on this journey with you, Brian. So
it's not going to be some huge, long podcast. It'll be kind of just a Lil Burn podcast. Sorry.
Got him.
Had to do it. Had
to
get the cheese in there.
I like it. A good dad joke with a couple of dads on the set here, so that's great. All right, Brian, let's jump right into it. Let's talk about something everybody likes to talk about, I know, on Facebook groups or on Twitter in the local Lilburn community and amongst each other, is development. Obviously, there's a lot going on in Lilburn from a lot of different aspects. So let's start, right there with what people kind of experience the most, and that's the residential development side. So what's going on residentially here in Lilburn right now?
Yeah, I'm excited to get to share, and of course we can't share every project that's happening.
Sure.
But I think one key part of the Burn podcast will be getting to kind of share some projects. And when it comes to residential, one that came to mind is kind of the newest neighborhood that's started to being built. It's called Parkview East, and this is on Agaro Road near Lilburn Stone Mountain Road, so kind of not far down Agaro there. And really, this is kind of interesting because it's really sort of the last large kind of acreage in the city limits to do a neighborhood of this size.
Yeah.
So this is going to be 127 single-family residential. So again, sort of your detached single-family homes. There's 8 model homes under construction currently, and I'm sure a lot of folks have seen this underway. Sites being developed, and we're excited to have Parkview East.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's going to be great to have those. Hopefully, a lot of new Lilburn residents coming in there. Maybe an opportunity for some of you guys that have been in Lilburn for a while. If you're looking for an upgrade, there's a great opportunity. Yep. Residentially, that's super important, but also important for all those new folks moving in is that we've got a thriving business community here in Lilburn. So talk to me a little bit about commercial development and what's going on here in the city as well.
Yeah, so something that's kind of exciting out on Lawrenceville Highway. Lilburn's got its first brewery that is being currently renovated. And so it's called Blackbird Farms Brewery, and it's at 4098 Lawrenceville Highway. And it's been exciting. The city council in past months passed an ordinance to kind of get up to speed with a brewery concept, and that was exciting. And they're hoping to open sometime this spring, and we're excited. It's local, local owners that are living here in Lilburn, passionate about Lilburn, and we're thrilled.
Yeah, it's something we haven't experienced here in Lilburn. I know a lot of other places around. Even Gwinnett now has a couple, so it'll be great to kind of put our stamp on the brewery industry here in Lilburn. Well, Brian, something everybody loves about Lilburn and why it's such an attractive place for a lot of people is our great schools. Berkmar, Parkview, Meadow Creek, all of those schools have something really great to offer the community. So let's talk a little bit about development as far as the school districts go and what's going on there to kind of move the ball forward.
Yeah, so one one project, again, there's lots going on at all the schools in the city limits, but one that you might see because it's out there on near Highway 29 is Berkmar High School is building a new theater. And so it's looks wonderful. You kind of see
it's gorgeous.
Yes.
It's gorgeous.
So we're excited for them to have a new space for their theater arts program. But what's also super cool about that is that means that their existing theater, they are going to be renovating to be a TV and film academy. So as you know, TV and film industry has exploded in Georgia.
Yeah.
And I think many would say it's just in the infancy stages of what it's going to be. And so what a cool opportunity for these Berkmar students, and perhaps one day beyond Berkmar, to have a place with, I mean, they're building it out. I mean, they're going to have legit TV film studios and all of the newest technology to really train students that could, one day have full-time careers in this industry.
Sure, without a doubt. We got to keep getting better at our jobs here. Those Berkmar students.
That's
they're
right.
Be coming
That's
for
right.
Us. No, in all honesty, that's amazing. And we've talked to folks at Berkmar before about coming in and shadowing us here at what we do and going there. And I'm super excited to see that new facility when it's done and the new theater as well. I know it's going to be a great thing for the community, especially once COVID wraps up and we can go and enjoy some of those performances. So looking forward to that as well. All right, and then let's bring it right back here to Old Town. As we sit right here, we're on Railroad Avenue in Old Town in this in the Connects Media Studios. But tell me a little bit about what's going on right here in the center of Lilburn and in the Old Town neighborhood.
Yeah, so in terms of sort of downtown development, one that is hard to miss is the townhome community. It's called Old Town Lilburn Townhomes. Right here, kind of next to the park. We've always kind of called it Trigg Square around around City Hall. Just kind of you just start calling it something and then it kind of sticks. But they have completed the first 2 buildings on First Avenue, and those 9 townhomes have been completed. Everybody's moved in, sold. I mean, it's amazing to have all these new neighbors in Old Town. And now they're currently building 3 buildings. Which is exciting. You see 2 of those on Lula, and then another interior unit that is exciting. So, those are really a nice addition.
Yeah.
And, we're
love the aesthetic that they went with, especially that first line right there on First Street is just gorgeous, and it fits into the neighborhood and everything else going on so well. So excited to see how that expands into the rest of that square.
Yep, I forgot to mention that's going to be 55 townhomes total.
Okay,
so that's kind of the full site would be 55.
Excellent. Well, let's move on a little bit to the other thing that's sort of dominating the Old Town visual and aesthetic right now going on, construction just behind us in this building, and talk about the latest city-funded project. I know you wanted to share an update on what's going on there.
Yeah, so I'm sure many have seen it. We are currently constructing a really nice pavilion that sits right there, kind of by the bus, which we call the bus restaurant Agaro Parkside, and kind of in front of the band shell where all the concerts happen. We're excited about that. It's like 3,000 square feet of covered pavilion space for friends and families to hang out, connect. It'll be available to rent for events, but also it'll have bathrooms. So if you're at the bus and you need to go to the bathroom, you don't have to walk all the way over to the playground for those bathrooms. But also, like, the practical purpose that's so needed is that we do a calendar in a normal year. We do a calendar full of events that take place at the park, and so there's a lot of equipment that you need for those events. And so there's a basement level of that pavilion that will provide all the storage that we need to get in and out for all those events. And it's also, the basement will have a finished space with a green room for all the bands at our concerts. There'll be some offices for the park attendants and our event coordinator who are down there, working long days on those event days. And so we're excited. It's going to look great. It really has a nice look to it that adds, I think, to kind of the charm of the neighborhood. Sure.
And we've got such a great setting at the park to enjoy an evening, especially in spring, summer, fall time when it's not freezing cold outside like it is now, to enjoy a meal with your family outside, to come down and just spend the whole afternoon and evening in Old Town. And that pavilion is just going to make that all the more practical for folks with small kids or older folks that don't want to be in the sun all day. And that pavilion is going to provide an awesome opportunity just to sit right there in the middle of Old Town and kind of watch everything going on around you. Should be really great.
Yep. And it's set to be completed this spring. So,
wow.
We'll be able to enjoy it in those nice seasons.
Yeah, that'll be a big deal. That's awesome. Well, we talked about events, and we've had a lot of them here in the past, and COVID, I know has impacted that in a big way. But let's talk about what's coming up in terms of city events and the opportunities that we'll get to share with the community here coming up.
Yeah, so, we have planned a full year of events for 2021, and of course we're kind of holding those very open-handed and very much paying attention to what's going on and what's going to be safest and most appropriate. But our first event that's planned in 2021 is the LilburCon Parade. We did the first one in 2019. It was a ton of fun, really well received by the community. I think in March, everyone's just like, winter's always, long and cold and a lot of times wet, and it gets dark so early. So I think in March, you're just ready to do something. And people came out and really enjoyed that. And so that will happen March 13th. It's a Saturday, 3 to 5. And we are planning that with safety measures in mind, social distancing, mask. If you don't have a green mask, you need to get one because we want to see everybody decked out in green. We do contests for the best LilburCon costumes, and that was a lot of fun giving those awards out. So it's going to be a good time, and with, again, being at the park spread out, we feel like it can be a safe event as well.
Absolutely. I know we're all itching for an opportunity to see our neighbors, kind of hang out in the park and just enjoy some time together. So looking forward to LilburCon here in March. Speaking of events, we do want to highlight Lilburn history here on the show as we move forward with the burn. And we had a great opportunity to celebrate a pretty monumentous occasion back in November, which was the 100th anniversary of the 1920 Lilburn fire.
That's right.
And we celebrated that with our first ever Bucket Brigade Day.
Yes.
I know you and I both had roles in that event, and you kind of quarterbacked a lot of what was going on during that day. I just want to talk about that experience, what that was like for you on the planning side, but about the actual day and how that turned out and the opportunities you thought it presented.
Yeah, well, like you said, I think every episode of The Burn, we're going to try to have a little history tidbit. And it's just, I think it's so important that every place, every city draws out their history. I mean, everybody's different. Everybody has a unique story, and so we just want to, in Lilburn, to express that history creatively, celebrate it, commemorate it. And so Bucket Brigade Day was a great chance for that. It just felt wrong to let the 100-year anniversary of that, what the newspaper back then called the Big Fire of Lilburn. It felt like we can't just let that, pass without kind of commemorating that. And again, not celebrating a fire that nearly destroyed Old Town, but really celebrating that heroic effort of the residents of the Bucket Brigade. They had a volunteer Bucket Brigade. There was no, full-time fire department or anything. So it was up to the residents, and they worked together and essentially stopped that fire from spreading and kind of devastating the whole Old Town area. And so it felt like, man, the metaphor for that is so great too, of people coming together, uniting, working together to save the town. Yeah. And so it was so fun. We closed Main Street down from Railroad Avenue to First. We reenacted the Bucket Brigade, and so we had literally people lined up in the middle of Main Street passing water through buckets, which was actually quite socially distant, right? Because they didn't have to touch. It was just sort of this sharing of water, but so we were able to do that. We had one of my friends dressed up as Lilburn Trigg Myers, who of course is the namesake of the city, and we've got some really fun photos and paintings of him, and he was kind of this eccentric guy that wore this nice suit and a big top hat, and so we had my buddy in costume, and it was ultimately Lilburn Trigg Myers who poured out the final bucket onto the fire. We had real fire. Because we had this like fire artist, So it was really fun. It felt very authentic and charming, to our history and our area. So we firmly believe that's an annual event that we'll do in November.
Yeah, and I think, again, it was just a great opportunity for us all to hang out, be safe, wear your mask and stay distant as much as possible. But I think everybody had a great time, which was awesome back in November. And so, what a great start to the burn here.
Yeah,
love it.
Fun.
Besides listening and watching the burn, which we hope you will all do on the platforms available, I think we're gonna be on the city YouTube. Might be where you're watching this here, or through podcast format. What's the best way that folks can stay connected to the city of Lilburn and city government and all that good stuff outside of the burn?
Sure. Of course, cityoflilburn.com is the website for the city. So tons of information there for residents as well as business owners and all of that. There's a full calendar of events on the city website. So, if there's ever any changes because of COVID, because of, the pandemic or anything to our events, of course, we make all those changes on that calendar. We'll also communicate that on social media. So we have City of Lilburn Facebook and City of Lilburn Instagram, where we're probably the most consistent. So you can definitely follow those. And we also have Old Town Lilburn Instagram and Facebook as well for sort of the happenings that are just here in Old Town. And we also have a Lilburn City Park Facebook page for park-related stuff. So
it's great.
Follow all those. Watch the burn. And
watch the burn.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. And that brings us to our last question of the day, which we want some input from you guys on.
Yes,
and this is our first poll here on the burn. And it's, as Lilburn residents, what should we be called? Should we be Lilburnites? Or, as we love to say in my house, are we the Lilburners?
Lilburners.
And, you can throw a little apostrophe after the LIL for the kids, the Lilburners, you see what we did there? So we'd love to hear you guys' feedback. What have you called yourself in the past living here in Lilburn?
This is very important.
Yeah.
This is very important.
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
do we call ourselves? And, I see both sides because I feel like Lilburnites, I think it rolls off the tongue easier. It's probably more natural, Lilburnites. But Lilburners to me is kind of cooler, a little different, a little unique.
Yeah.
But you gotta also figure what are people actually gonna say? So I don't know. I need to hear from the people.
Lilburnites might sound like something you'd need to call an exterminator for. Is the only hesitation I have there.
That's true. This is why we need to go to the poll because I am kind of torn. And maybe there's a third option out there that you and I have not thought of.
Maybe so.
And so maybe they need to submit that to.
Power of the people. Get in, guys. Let us know what you think about what we should be called here in Lilburn. But awesome. Thanks for joining me today, Brian. Anything to leave the folks with before we get out of here for our first episode?
Lilburn is hip. And as my mug reminds us,
yes.
And it's getting more so every day. And thanks. I hope you'll continue to tune in to The Burn every month. Yeah,
we'll see you guys down here in Old Town. And go make your neighbor's day better and enjoy Lilburn for everything that it is. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.